Hey everyone, I'm here with Robin McGehee, the co-founder and co-director of GetEQUAL, one of my good friends. She's been in Washington all week and has really had quite a week. On Monday, she was arrested on the White House fence. It's her second arrest at the White House. And on Wednesday, she actually had a meeting at the White House. She, instead of handcuffing herself to the fence, walked through the gates. And that was the title of a blog post you sent us right before your meeting.
Right.
So tell us, how did that meeting transpire?
Actually, we had sent out an email to our list less than a week ago that said that we were hearing from lots of different intel from the Pentagon, from people on the Hill, from different advocacy organizations and people who are leaders in the repeal effort, that there was definitely concern that Don't Ask, Don't Tell was going to be cut out of the defense bill. There were lots of different finger pointings. Levin's pointing to Reed, Reed's pointing to Levin, and both of them are pointing and saying they're not getting the support from the White House that they need, the active engagement, and specifically asking us if we would plan some type of action that was going to help push the efforts to get repeal happening in this lame duck session. And we also feel like this is the last opportunity. We really could see the year end without the legislation we've been promised, and this really is the last opportunity to push. So we made a plan to send out an email asking for people to support us financially to be able to fly activists, as well as service members who represent the different fabric of why this policy is so unconstitutional as well as immoral. And after that email went out, a couple hours later, Brian Bond from the White House sent an email to our managing director saying that he'd like to meet when I was in town. And after the arrest happened, she asked if the meeting was still on or capable. Is he still willing to meet with us? And he said absolutely, or of course. And quite frankly, what it proved to me was that we were in a situation where we took bold action, we applied pressure, and the president and his staff were not afraid to talk to the people that really are showing frustration. And it gave me extra courage knowing that Luis Gutierrez was in his office the day before our meeting, a person who was also arrested at the White House fence for immigration reform, that it's proof for our movement as well as the progressive movement that if you apply pressure, it does not mean you're going to lose your access. It's going to show that you're serious about your legislative issue and agenda.
Cool. And when you got to the White House, I understand they weren't so happy about the fact that you had posted on American Blood that you were in fact coming?
Right. I never, in any of the communications with Brian, understood the meeting to be off the record. It was never stated in the email.
Which most records at the White House tend to be,
right.
The groups off the record.
Yeah, and being a person who has never had a meeting at the White House, I didn't understand that was common practice. So for us, I sent out, I'm a PTA mom. I'm a person who would much rather be organizing PTA events and birthday parties and not organizing arrests in front of the White House. So when you get an invitation to the White House, you're just excited and you're not thinking about what the rules of engagement are. But I also know that my principal rule of engagement is that if I'm going in there offering, articulating a side that I believe is a frustrated angle from our movement, it's not my right to hold that information from the community when I walk out that building, and I should be able to adequately and accurately report what I said and what they said back to me.
And we've had a lot of frustration with secret meetings at the White House and not getting the right information. So how did they respond when you told them that you were not?
Yeah, well, I walked into him being very frustrated and saying that he had heard from people higher up in the White House that they were very frustrated and upset and that just hit their email boxes.
So they read American Blood,
obviously, and that no longer could this meeting be on the record, and that he wanted us to know that they were upset and frustrated. And I said, if this meeting is off the record, then I'm willing to leave right now. So either we meet on the record or I'm going to leave. Which, to be completely honest, I was hoping was not going to be the case, because I honestly was honored to be in the space. But he said okay, but their standard for the meeting was that they would listen and we would talk, but he would not engage further than that. And I said okay, so he took us up to one of the rooms in the EEOB building, I believe, and on the way up said that he would really love for me to bring my children back, because he understood that my activism was really a result of the discrimination our family has faced. And he would hope that there would be one day that I could hold my head high bringing them to the Easter egg roll. I held my tongue because I have definite issues with that type of invitation,
right.
but we walked immediately into the room that had someone from the Domestic Policies Office and the legal counsel that was sitting there, and he explained to her at the start of the meeting and him that because of our principles as an organization that we were unwilling to meet without having full transparency as we left the meeting, and that he had made us aware that they would officially listen and that they would be aware of our unwillingness to meet off the record as they communicated with us.
That's kind of amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
it's sad
so
that those standards exist.
yeah, maybe we'd be further along
Right,
otherwise. Yeah. But in getting into the meeting, you were going in and you had specific issues you wanted to talk to.
Right.
What did you lay out to Brian Bond and the Obama administration? Because you were talking to the Obama administration.
Right. First off, I told him that I felt like there was a certain type of frustration that I don't believe that they're hearing from our community, as well as a larger progressive community. I don't think that they're hearing that enough from the immigration community, from the climate change community, from the young voter community, and the same people that walked in with a sense of urgency in 2008 felt no motivation to walk in those same ballot booths in 2010. And I felt like what I had the luxury and the privilege of doing, although I may not ever get a return invitation to the White House, is I had a social obligation to be honest with them that they have a problem. And I said, honestly, that I couldn't be any happier that Rahm Emanuel was out of the White House and not advising him. But I still have increased speculation that Messina and Axelrod are really, truly our fierce advocates in making sure our specific legislative agenda is going to be progressed. So, my concern was I really wanted him to know that I wasn't there as only a single issue for Don't Ask, Don't Tell, even though I've taken action specifically around that in the last couple of months. I've also been very active around a trans-inclusive INDA. I myself have been in the fight in California around the repeal of DOMA and the need for that. And so we went into, this is not about Don't Ask, Don't Tell, this is a full equality agenda, and that the White House really needs to be moving towards an agenda that's going to take care of us in an omnibus package or a civil rights bill package.
And these were all promises that the president has made to this community during the campaign
Absolutely.
since then.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, and one of the things that I stated is that I'd had a previous meeting with Joe Salmonese, and Joe has stated to me that the president's only promised to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He's never made promises to pass INDA, to repeal DOMA, or to pass UAFA. And I know that there is written record that would negate that point.
Right. I think he says it repeatedly at those LGBT cocktail parties.
Absolutely,
every June.
Right. And
at HRC's dinner in 2000.
Well, exactly. And not only is there written proof, but that is looking at the voter as naive, and to say that just me talking about it is I support it in theory, but in action, in reality, that's not how we work. And if that's how we work, then that's not the president I'm going to vote for in 2012.
Well, it's not the president who we were promised.
Exactly. So, but what I explained to him is I understood their position, that I truly understand that I'm not naive, and as some of the advocacy organizations have said, unsophisticated in my view of the Hill. And I do understand that he has to work within the confines of Congress to get things done, but there are things that he can do specifically to show that he has fierce loyalty and advocacy on our behalf.
It's kind of a fierce bully pulpit that he has,
right.
if he chooses to use
absolutely. And honestly, that is what I'm praying will happen. I mean, honestly, I want to believe the man that I walked in that ballot booth for and walked precincts for is going to emerge, and is going to emerge because I've done my work in trying to get that change that he is going to articulate and make happen.